So imagine signing a multi-million-dollar contract, right?
Yeah.
And usually, to guarantee a deal like that, you have to put up, I don't know, physical collateral, like a house, a business, maybe a bank account. But what if the investor decided to put up their own DNA instead?
That would be, well, pretty wild.
Right. And that is essentially the wild legal precedent set in the book of Hebrews regarding this whole concept of a blessing. Welcome, everyone. You probably know that feeling of constantly hustling, just trying to earn favor or, trying to prove your worth.
Oh, yeah, that endless treadmill.
Exactly. But today we are looking at a devotional excerpt from Rhapsody of Realities by Pastor Chris, and it proposes a massive mindset shift. Like, what if the blessing you are chasing is already an unstoppable, irreversible fact? Our mission today is to explore this text idea of a sworn declaration of blessing and see how it completely flips that striving narrative on its head.
It really is a massive pivot, honestly. I mean, it moves you from treating a blessing as this distant destination you are trying to reach to a reality you are, well, already operating from right now.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core of this idea hinges on Hebrews chapter 6, verses 13 and 14. This is where God makes a promise to Abraham. But instead of just a, simple handshake deal, it's described as a really high-stakes contract.
Right, because God couldn't swear by anyone greater, so he put up his own nature and integrity as the collateral.
Yeah, it's basically the ultimate trust me bro situation, but backed by the creator of the universe.
What's fascinating here is the text makes a really clear distinction between a promise and a covenant. Because in our everyday lives, a promise is usually just a good intention, like me saying, oh, I will help you move next weekend.
Which we all know is 50-50 at best.
Exactly. But this text frames the Abrahamic blessing as a covenant of absolute certainty. By swearing on his own nature, the theological implication is that for this blessing to fail, God's actual integrity would have to literally disintegrate.
Okay, right, but let me push back here for a second. We are talking about an ancient contract made with a historical guy, Abraham, thousands of years ago. Calling it an absolute certainty sounds great on paper, but how does an ancient theological handshake actually change the life of the listener sitting in traffic today?
Well, that is where the text builds a bridge using Galatians chapter 3, verse 29. And the mechanism it uses is identity. The text argues that by belonging to Christ, you effectively bypass thousands of years of history.
Wait, so you just skip to the front of the line?
Basically, yeah. You become Abraham's direct seed. You aren't just reading about a historical event anymore. You become the direct modern-day inheritor of that original ironclad promise.
So what does this all mean? Like, I get the lineage part, but in practical terms, what exactly are you inheriting? I mean, it can't just be a nice metaphysical certificate to hang on the wall.
No, not at all. The text actually makes some very specific, practical claims. It says you inherit increase, favor, fruitfulness, and spiritual authority. But rather than just throwing around abstract nouns, let's look at how the text applies them.
Okay, how so?
Think of spiritual authority like having ultimate VIP access. In practical terms, the text argues this means when you face a massive financial crisis or, say, a health scare, your default reaction isn't panic.
Because you supposedly have that backing.
Exactly. It's a deep-seated confidence that you have the literal backing of God's integrity. The logic is that no earthly opposition can overpower the very nature of God that backs your inheritance.
But wait, if I am suddenly immune to opposition and swimming in VIP favor, doesn't this whole theology just breed massive narcissism? Like, hey, look at me, I've got all the blessings, good luck to the rest of you.
You'd think so, right? But that is actually the exact opposite of what the original promise in Genesis 12 says.
Yeah, and here's where it gets really interesting, because the original promise states, I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. So the blessing isn't supposed to be a dead end.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text argues you are meant to be a channel of divine flow.
A channel. Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
Well, it means treating your bank account, your talents, and your time not as a bucket you are desperately trying to fill up, but as a pipe. Drawing on Ephesians 1:3, the goal isn't just hoarding good things to get your own needs met.
It's having such a surplus that the water passes right through you to water the garden next door.
Exactly. You expect favor specifically so you can multiply resources and advance the kingdom.
It flips the script entirely. The core takeaway from the text isn't about figuring out how to get blessed. It is about stepping into a partnership role you supposedly already have.
Right. It completely changes the framework of why we seek out success in the first place.
Absolutely. And for anyone wanting to dig into the source material themselves, you can check out www.rhapsodyofrealities.org.
It really is a fascinating read.
It is. And it leaves you with a pretty wild hypothetical to chew on. If you truly viewed every single resource, advantage, and dollar you currently possess strictly as a pipe meant to flow outward to others, how would that instantly change the very next financial or personal decision you make today?
We trust you were blessed by this episode. To gain unlimited access to Rhapsody of Realities by Pastor Chris, please download the Rhapsody app using the link myapp.rhapsodyofrealities.org. God bless you.